Royalty. Royalty.
Shalom, shalom. So today we're going to begin with our Learn Like a Child Lesson 1. If you have not already downloaded the materials, you can do so at herroyalroots.com. Under Teachings, you will see the tab for Like a Child Hebrew Lessons. Go ahead and head over there and download Lesson 1, and you can hop right back in and we can get started. So some things we need to know from the beginning is what we're going to be doing. So in this class or in this course or in this series, we're going to be learning in the way that we would have learned if this would have been our first introduction to the language. Some of us may know more, some of us may know less, but that's not what this is all about. We're going to act in humility, like a child, and learn in that manner. And so this is a perfect lesson for parents who will be homeschooling or have children at home and want to sit down with them and actually learn these lessons, because the lessons will literally be geared toward your childlike mind. The mind that doesn't mind getting things wrong, doesn't mind doing them over and over again, the mind that doesn't mind writing things and not getting it correct the first time. So this is going to be really, really geared toward learning in a way that is very organic and very new and fresh if this is your first time learning Hebrew. Okay, so how the lessons are going to go is every lesson we're going to build upon what we learned in the previous series. So for lesson 1, we're going to be covering both the modern script of Hebrew and the Paleo script. That's how we're going to do throughout this whole course as we work through these. And the goal at the end is so that you can recognize Hebrew letters and the vowel points, and so that when you pick up modern text, you will be able to read it. I am not guaranteeing that you will understand everything you read, because that comes with vocabulary acquisition, learning your vocabulary, committing words to memory. What I am saying is that you will be able to sound out words like a child and begin to understand them and hopefully break them down and look them up in a dictionary with no struggle. And so that's what this course will be providing. If you haven't already gotten your flashcards, you can get them at jewelsandscrolls.com. It's jewelsandscrolls.etsy.com. And there you can get those flashcards, and those flashcards are going to help you in these lessons because they will be providing information for what the letters mean and stuff that maybe we don't go over in depth here. So today we're going to be working with the shin. And just for all intents and purposes, we're going to look at both the shin and the sin. So the shin is here, and the shin looks just like this. And the shin makes the sh sound. So if you can see it there, shin makes a sh sound. And it's represented, its pictographical representation is 2 front teeth, and its description is sharp, press, eat, destroy, okay, and also to separate. Now the difference between the shin and the sin is that the sin, or sin, as you may have heard it pronounced, has that dot on the other side. Now you will know after a while that once you begin to get familiar with the Hebrew words, you won't actually need to see vowel points, but you may need to see these dots still, just to let you know which one is being used. And because the definition is similar, it'll be based upon how the words are placed, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, so we'll be using the shin for today, so that's this one. All right, and the bet, and this is your bet, okay? And then we're going to be using the tav. Now what I recommend is that you go ahead and download a Hebrew chart from the Her Royal Roots website, and it's going to help you memorize these words and these letters more fluently. You need to be able to be familiar with them when you see them. So that is the great advantage of having flashcards, that you can just go through them. The ones you don't recognize right away, you put them into a pile to the side. The ones you recognize right away, you can save those because those probably need less revision, and it'll help you begin to get more fluent with the language. All right. now we're going to look at the vowel points we're going to be using today. The vowel points we're going to be using today are the kametz and the patak. Move that over so you can see it. All right. There we go. So we'll be using those two today. And I know on your cards they might say two different sounds, but for today we're going to focus on the ah sound for both. Okay, making sure you can see both of those. All right. So those symbols, I will write them again so that you can see them and understand what we're doing. All right. We will also be using the Paleo form that you probably won't have on your flashcards. So the Paleo shin, I'll write the regular shin first. This is your shin. And the Paleo shin looks like a W, but it's representing actually two teeth or two gnashers. The next is the bet. You'll see it like this. The Paleo bet looks like this. All right. Then last you have your tav. Tav looks like this. As you can see. All right. And the Paleo tav is like an X or a two cross sticks. Okay, so those will be the letters we'll be focusing on today. If you've downloaded your sheet, then you will have space to actually write in, and actually I'll take one at a time so that doesn't bleed through for you. You'll have space to write in what the pictograph definition for each word is. So this is what you will be doing for your review work. You're going to write in shin, and you can take the Hebrew charter, which you already know, and write those in here, your bet, and your tav. Okay? One of the things I also want to cover is that we're not going to do the lessons, these lessons like I do, like the Hebrew word study lessons, where we go through and we break down all of the numerical value and what this word means and what this letter means and what this picture means. Those will be separate. We want to keep it, once again, geared toward the childlike mind. All right? So those are the letters that we'll be going over today. You will have time in your review work to actually go through and write and read each of these. So we're not going to focus too much on them, but we're going to go shin, bet, tav, shin, bet, tav. Interestingly, these words and letters, and it does make a word, but these letters are going to represent the same meaning. The meaning doesn't change just because the character changes. That's something that I want to really focus on. I want you to focus on when you're learning these, is that the same meaning for this shin and this Paleo shin are going to be the same. All right? So you're not learning multiple definitions for words. Okay, so then those vowel points I talked to you about, those vowel points are called nikuds. All right? So we'll just put an X to mark where it would sit in a word. So it would sit beneath a letter in a word, and here we'll put the other one and it'll sit beneath. These make the ah sound, ah, as in father, okay, as in father. All right. These nikuds always follow a pattern, and so do the consonants. So those consonants are your basic alphabet. They're going to follow the consonant, vowel, consonant pattern, and it'll go on. Hebrew is very, very basic in the way that you sound out words using those nikuds or vowel points. And that'll also help you when you stop using them and want to focus more on Paleo, because that pattern is still going to be followed even if you can't see those vowel points. Something else I want to point out, Hebrew goes in consonant, vowel, consonant. It also reads from right to left. So everything we'll be doing in these lessons, we'll be doing from right to left. We will start our practice work from right to left, from right to left. Okay? Now let's get into the sounds that each of these letters make. So the shin, the bet, or the bet, and then the tav, and then your Paleo tav. Okay? These all have a sound, and these sounds never change when they're in this form, except for a few, and we'll go over those when we get to them. Okay? We went over the first one, which is shin. When this dot's on the other side, it makes the s sound. So if it was on this side, s sound. On this side, sh sound. Okay? But for today, the ones we're using the sh sound for the shin, the b sound, not ba, but b sound for the bet, and the t sound for the tav. Okay? And let's just to refresh, we're also going to be using the ah sound and the ah sound. Okay? Now we're going to immediately jump into some practice work. So, you should have this sheet. This sheet is going to help with that practice work we spoke about. Okay, so now that we know the sounds that these letters and these letters and these vowel points make, we're going to practice a little bit of reading. Yes, right away, jumping right into reading. Why? Because one of the things that children like to do is when they acquire new knowledge, they want to practice it right away. All right, let's start here. What sound does this letter make? If you said B, that's correct. Underneath it, we see that vowel point we encountered earlier. And what sound does that make? If you said ah, that's correct. So we read top, down, so consonant to vowel. So this word is correct. If you said ba, that's correct. Let's move on to the next one. Again, top, down, ba, correct. Now this one might be a little tricky. All right, if you said ba, that is correct. There's nothing beneath it, so it's just going to say its own sound. Again, we have ba, very good. Here, ba, very good. Ba, very good. Ba. All right. And we're going to do this, you're going to do this for all of them. I'm not going to go through each of them because this is going to give you some practice work. So take some time and go through each of these, and you're going to go through and you're going to say them with their sound going top down. So consonant vowel, making that sound. Consonant vowel, making that sound. Consonant vowel, making that sound. Very good. And you'll do the tav. And then this is probably where it's going to get a little tricky because you're going to be seeing different letters in the same sentence. Okay? So here you're going to see ta, correct. Ba, correct. Sha, and then continue on. Now this is where this is going to get a little bit different with these bottom ones. So I'm actually going to write these out. So you have a bet on your page, a bet, and then you have a vowel point under that bet. You have a nikud. Okay? So remember we read down, and then so consonant vowel, And so what's supposed to come next? Correct. We're supposed to go over here and the consonant comes next. So we're going to go consonant, vowel, consonant. So this word, if you do it correctly, you should go b, ah, b, and then say it all together. Bob. Very, very good. So b, ah, b, bob. So we went consonant, vowel, consonant. Very, very good. All right, let's choose a different one. Let's choose one that it has more letters in it. All right, we're going to go with shin, bet, tav. Many of you may already know this word, and those of you who don't, you're getting ready to read your first Hebrew word. Okay, so we have a vowel point here. Make sure we make that a bet, and we have a vowel point here. Remember, this is not a T under here, so I'll make it a little bit smaller. This is not a T, it's a vowel point. It looks like a T though. So just make sure that you don't pronounce T when you get to that because it is a common mistake. Okay, so let's start here. We're gonna go consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. So for the parents who are doing this should be very reminiscent of when you first learned how to read and you had to sound out cat. So you went k, a, t, cat, okay? Same exact way of thinking when we're doing this. For all my little Hebrew children out there, this is something that maybe you already learned when you were younger. And for those of you who are just beginning to learn how to read, you are at the ultimate advantage because you're gonna learn to read Hebrew along with learning how to read English. So I am so excited for you as well. All right, so let's jump right in. We're gonna go consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. All right, and remember we're going right to left. So I'll take those off. Let's go. The S, this shin makes the what sound? The SH sound. So we go sh, ah, b, ah. try it again. Sh, ah, b, ah, t. Let's do it a little bit faster, and let's blend these sounds for the vowel and the consonant together. All right, so sh, ah, sha, okay, b, ah, ba, t, sha, ba, t. Shabbat. Very good, very good. Very, very good. So we got Shabbat. So you just read your first Hebrew letter. I bet you that was very exciting for all of you, parents and children. Okay, so if you've read that, then you have your first vocabulary word from this lesson, Shabbat. All right, Shabbat is the 7th day of the week. It's the end of the week, and it's the day of rest for those of you who are not familiar with the Shabbat. Okay, let's do another one. It's not a long one like this one, but there is another word, and it will be a vocabulary word for us, and we'll learn it right now. All right, so we have our next Hebrew word. And I want you to go ahead and try to sound that out. Actually, let's make sure we get the right vowel point under there. There we go. Let's try to sound that word out. So we're going to start with the first letter, B. Vowel point, A, correct. T. Let's blend these two together. Ba, t, bat. Bat. Bat in Hebrew is the word for daughter. So now we have two Hebrew words. And as you see it here, you might confuse that phonetically with bat, but it's bat for Hebrew. Okay, and if it helps, we can spell it like this. Just don't want you to spell it wrong, but if you want to have that sound in there, you can write it like this so you remember that it's not bat, but bat. So let me show you that. Okay? Bat is the Hebrew word for daughter. So you have two vocabulary words for all of my small Hebrew friends. We have Shabbat and bat. All right? And those look like this. Shin, bet, tav for Shabbat. Or we can write it in Paleo as shin, bet. Let's write that a little bit better. Bet, tav, okay? And then we have the word for daughter, which is bet, tav. And we can write that in Paleo as bet, tav. All right, so we're finished with our first Hebrew lesson. Your work for today, and probably for the rest of this week, if you want to focus on really building and becoming familiar with these letters, is to work through your flashcards and your vowel points and keep them, in a nice little deck like that. And you can go through and remember these and then work on arranging them. If you want to play around with your flashcards, you want to arrange them into the words that we learned. You can take your shin and your bet and your tav, and you can arrange those around. Parents, if you want to do some homeschooling stuff, you can have them add up the numerical value for your children who are dealing with numbers. And they can add up the numerical value for these for these words, and work with those. You can take off the shin. There you have it. You have your bat or your bet, and you can kind of look at the definitions and see what these words mean if you want to get deeper. What I recommend is for parents who want to move older kids or yourselves at accelerated pace, I recommend that you go ahead and start working on your alphabet as well. So first you're going to do your practice sheet, and you're going to be writing in your Hebrew letters. You have space to write all your shins in modern script, and you have space to write all your shins in Paleo, and you can do that for each of those letters. Go through, and I've made lines for you on those pages, so you can just print those right off the site. And then I also recommend for parents and older children that you go ahead and you begin working on writing your alphabet. So you're going to start with your aleph and go bet, and then gimel, dalet, and write them all the way out, and at least do that once a day. And as you're doing it, make sure that you're saying the letter that you're writing. So you're writing aleph, write it, aleph, bet, gimel, dalet. Make sure you go through, say all your letters, say them out loud, because what happens is when I say aleph on video, your brain is going to automatically make a picture in your mind, and it's going to go aleph because you've written that letter and your brain has heard your mouth say it, and so when it hears that, it's going to picture that letter, and it'll happen for all of them. So you're going to write all of those letters, and then if you have time and you are interested in learning Paleo, go ahead and do it in Paleo as well. So you're going to do your aleph, bet, and you're going to go all the way through your gimel, and then your dalet. Go all the way through and write those out and say them out loud as well, and then your brain will be able to pick up those pictures as well. All right, I am so excited. We are done with lesson 1, and I'm very, very, very confident that this information will begin to sink into your minds as you learn like a child. Can't wait to get ready with lesson 2. Shalom, shalom. All right, so for lesson 2, just so you can be practicing if you want to start ahead of time, we're going to be dealing with the letters dalet and gimel. Dalet and gimel. So if you have your flashcards, you're going to practice those. And if you have those Paleo flashcards, then you're going to be working with dalet and gimel. Okay? Dalet and gimel. Until next week, shalom, shalom.
Royalty. Royalty.